So, in this video, I'm going to talk about pandas. So, what is pandas? Well, pandas is actually a package or library or module or whatever in Python that allows you to manipulate like CSV files, Excel files, and all kinds of data and turn it into data frames, right? Now, you might think you can probably manipulate data in Excel. You can do all kinds of cool stuff in Excel with Excel sheets, but Excel has its limits. And one of those limits is just really, really large files. And another limit is, for example, you can't do visualizations very easily with Excel, whereas in Python you could use pandas and you could get data from an Excel file, and then you could use a different package such as matplotlib and use that on the data that we've read and visualize it. So there's an extra dimension to manipulating data with pandas and Python in general, as compared to Excel. Anyway, what does pandas actually do? Well, here in this folder, this intermediate folder, my tutorial folder, I've actually got a CSV file and an XLSX file. I'm actually going to open that CSV file so you can have a little look. You can see it's got a bunch of ages, a bunch of names, sexes, which is male or female, and scores for, we'll just say it was some sort of test, right? And I could read, like I said, I could read this in Excel, but I'd rather read it in Python because maybe later I want to do something with this information. I might want to put it onto a website using some kind of package, or I might want to visualize it, right? So how do I get this data and where do I put it? Well, first of all, I need to import pandas as PD. Now, if you don't already have pandas, you're going to have to pip install it, which I won't teach you how to do in this video. You should probably know how to do that, but you're going to have to install pandas if you don't already have it. But there's a good chance you already have it if you have Spider like I do, and if you use an Anaconda like I am. Anyways, let's say that we want to import, I don't know, the CSV file. We want to use it, and we want to store it somewhere. Well, this whole sort of data structure is quite weird. So the way that pandas actually stores this, it stores this in something called a data frame, right? So we get an object called a data frame. Usually you call this df. That's the generic data frame name, but we're going to call it scores underscore df, meaning scores data frame, and we're actually going to say that it's equal to pd.read, because pd is our name for pandas, .read CSV, and what we're going to read is scores. Oh, it's a capital S, scores.csv. You see this CSV file here? Now, when we read this, we get this scores CSV because this is the relative path, because this file is in the same folder as scores.csv, but if it weren't, we'd have to get the full path, okay? So just bear that in mind. And we're also going to print out this data frame. So we're going to print out scores underscore df, like so. Let's run all that. Oops, it's not a capital S. Oh, print is not defined. Of course it isn't. Let's run that and see what happens. So, if we go into Variable Explorer, we can see that we've got a data frame. And the data frame is exactly the same as the CSV file. It's got a bunch of names and ages, and there's different sexes and also the scores, etc., etc. So you can see we've replicated this CSV file in the scores df. Now, let's imagine that the CSV file has, say, 20,000 entries. It would be very inconvenient for us to print all 20,000 entries and look through them. We might just want to see a sort of a summary of, I don't know, the first 5 and the last 5 items, right? We can actually get a summary by using something called head. So we can say scores underscore df dot head, and this will actually give us the top 5 items. So if I just run that, it'll give us the first 5 items there. And if we want to get the bottom bit, let's say scores underscore df dot tail. Right, and this will give us the last 5 items, which should be these here, I think. Okay, and there we are. We see that age is wrong, but we're going to get to that later on. Now you're probably thinking that's really cool. I can see that you've loaded this CSV file, but what about this Excel file? Oh dear, it didn't open properly. It has to open externally. Anyway, the Excel file is the same as the scores.csv file. And in order to read that, we're just going to say that scores underscore df2 is equal to pd.read underscore Excel. And we're going to say it's equal to scores dot xlsx, which is the Excel file. And we're just going to copy and paste all of this, right? And all we're going to do with this is add a 2 to the end of it so that it works for scores df2, and it should be exactly the same. And I can't really tell if it is exactly the same just off that. Yeah, it looks about right. I can look in Variable Explorer and it looks more or less, yeah, I would say that these are exactly the same. Yeah. And so you can read in Excel files, you can read in CSV files, and you can also actually read in .text files, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. And the idea, as I say, is basically that you can read in any of this stuff and do something else with it. Right now, though, I'm just showing you how to read it in. And yeah, that'll be all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.